Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's American Mussar community gathering. This is going to be our first week exploring the soul trait of honor. So we will get started the way we always do with a short meditation. So please relax in your seat and close your eyes. And then take in a deep breath through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. And again, inhale through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. And as you go at your own pace of inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth, if thoughts should come into your head, just observe them and let them pass, like watching a car move past on the road. Now is not the time for solving problems. Right now, all you need to do is inhale through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And on your next inhale, say to yourself, Shema, and on the exhale, listen. Shema, listen. In Shema, we're listening deeply, without judgment, without offering advice. In Shema, we are listening with an open heart. Shema, listen. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Well, hey, see, we've had a bunch of people join during the meditation. So hello to Nancy and Janet and Marjorie and Harry. Nice to see you all. Welcome. Today we are exploring the soul trait of honor. And we'll be talking about how honor interacts with chesed and how honor can support our practice of chesed. So for our opening discussion, we're going to be going back to one of the assumptions. We don't talk about the assumptions very much every often, but this is one of the assumptions that I like to follow for our American Mussar practice, and it's that there's a divine spark in everyone, but it's occluded by our baggage. So the divine spark, of course, goes back to the story of creation, where it says that the divine created Adam, the first human, in the divine image. So we all have that piece of divinity within us. Or if you're not sure about the divinity, you could think of it as the common spark of humanity, that common piece of goodness that connects all of us. But it's blocked by our baggage. Baggage are those hurts that come up during our life, those disappointments that stay with us. And when we get sort of stuck in that world, it becomes harder to see that divine spark. So I'm going to stop the share. I just want to give everyone an opportunity to kind of think about that, react to that. Is that something that you encounter in your own life? What are your thoughts, or what are your skepticisms? And so you can percolate on that for a second while I copy this to put in the chat. Okay, there it is in the chat. So, who has a reaction or a thought they'd like to share?
Um,
Yes, Shelley.
it reminds me of Leonard Cohen's song about um, all the vessels are cracked, and that's how the light gets out.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
maybe not appropriate. I don't know.
No, I think that's a great comparison because he is referring in that song to this Kabbalistic teaching that when the universe was created, there were these divine vessels, but they became cracked. And when we do, righteous deeds, that those vessels get repaired a bit. So I think that's a beautiful connection, that we have. Yeah, so thank you. Beth, I think I saw your hand. Beth, did you have something you wanted to share?
Just shared. That was me a minute ago with my big
Oh,
mouth
that was you.
sharing.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. Did you not call on me? I
I
didn't
thought
mean
I'd
to
called
just.
on Shelley, but that's okay. I'd seen your hand as well. So,
My
so,
apologies.
That's okay.
oh, so I don't know. Shelley, were you doing like a ventriloquist routine? 'Cause I
I
thought I
guess it was,
saw your,
she was voicing my thoughts. I do believe everyone has a divine spark inside of them. That's my go-to. That's who I am. And to recognize that, to bring out all of our divinity is so important, to be authentic. And and I find it saddening when we do have judgment, and when it stops our divinity, and that you walking down the street, and yeah, maybe that person is wearing something funny and we automatically judge them, and it's like, hey, they're happy with what they are. It's I just I'm training myself lately to see the balance in every situation.
hmm,
I just had a hip replacement 2 weeks ago. Yay, I'm the bionic woman now. um, but I had three setbacks, and it's funny because when I had the second setback, I thought, well, it goes in threes, so let's pray that the next one isn't as bad. And thankfully, it wasn't. And I said to my friend the other day, I said, yes, the doctor tightened my hip joint up, my muscles more because I'm over flexible, but I guess my body decided that I want to be flexible, so hence I kind of rearranged my muscles so that they're flexible again.
hmm.
So it's caused me maybe a little bit more pain, but I also recognize that the pain is what we need to go through. We need to have suffering to understand something. And again, having that divinity in me and seeing it in everybody and witnessing the the helping of people that have been coming forward to help me, I'm so grateful for that. And as I'm grateful for this group. So my wish for humanity is that more of us would get rid of our baggage so that we can be more divinity inside of us and show it to everybody. That's my
Thank you, Shelley. Well, I hope that now that you have those three setbacks out of the way, I hope that your road to recovery is a little more smooth and we're all sending you comfort and strength and healing energy. And I really like the way you tied in this idea of judgment. You sort of realize that when we're not seeing people's divine sparks, that it's very easy to judge them. And that's something which is very much a part of the honor practice, is noticing that when we're judging, we're not seeing their divine spark. We're seeing something superficial. Um, so thank you. Martin and then Sue.
Yeah, you can hear me?
I can.
Yeah, it's iPhone number two. I don't see her name. Whoever iPhone
That's
number two,
Shelley.
Shelley. Tagging off Shelley's comment about judgment, I had this experience, and I feel so embarrassed about it. I'm walking down the main street of my city, and a black person approached me to beg for money. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't have any cash. The next block, another black person approached me, says, do you have any money? I said, no. Anyway, Another black person approaches me, says, "Excuse me, sir." And I said, "Sorry, I don't have any money." And he says, "I just want to know what time it is." And I felt, I mean, I just set back black-white relations 20 years with that one comment.
Mm,
I mean, I'm responding on a habit that happened to me on 3 blocks in a row the same day within
yeah.
30 minutes. But just goes to show Shelley's comment is that, you really have to see each person as a person, not don't think an assumption based on history. Anyway, I'll never forget it. Good. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Martin. And we're listening with an open heart, and it's good self-knowledge and reflection. So thank you, and we can all learn from that mistake. Sue.
So this brought to mind, I'm in another Mussar group where we're doing patience. And I was thinking about how that the midah can get, like if you're, what was the word? Occluded. Like,
Occluded.
so, you can be, a good person and everything great, but when the midah kind of sticks you in a way, like patience. So for example, my thought was so my phone died this week, which is awful. And it was a great lesson in, oh my gosh, what do I do? Without the phone. I ended up in this Apple store for hours, but when I was running in there, and that you have to get an appointment and you have to take time, and I wasn't kind to the person that I first got to, because I kind of felt like she wasn't taking me seriously. I said, I have this emergency, I have my phone. And, she's seen how many people like this, right? I mean, I'm just, I sort of put myself above everybody else in my mind, thinking, okay, they have their problems, but, my phone is completely dead here, people. I had that attitude and I wasn't very nice. And I feel like if I had been patient, so to bring on that midah, it would have been, my divine spark would have been out. And I feel like when you get stuck in something like that,
Yeah.
it interferes. So that's what I was thinking about.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah, that's a good example. To take us on a slight sidecar, you reminded me of something I've been thinking about. So I was just at this Jewish Innovation Conference in New York City. Flew back, got back yesterday. It was really fantastic. And we read this section from this guy who wrote, it was called The Futurist Manifesto, and it was written in 1909. And he was an Italian artist, and he was the first one to he's sometimes credited with the invention of futurism, like this idea of imagining like what society would be like in the future. And I don't know if that's true. And people writing science fiction before him, but one of the things he said is, in the future, um, humans and machines would kind of become fused. And I was really thinking about my relationship with my phone, where it really does kind of feel like an extension of myself. So I'm sympathetic to that panic that can come up because we become so dependent on our phones, and certainly I am as well, and it's just always with me. Um, that it's kind of not literally fused, but it's such a useful tool. All right, so let's take this a little bit deeper. Okay, could someone please, as we start to look at honor, could someone please unmute and read read these two bullets?
I can read.
Thanks, Debbie.
Honor is the ability to recognize the humanity in other people, feel empathy, and treat them with respect, dignity, and even with reverence.
Thank you.
Both humility and honor concern how we relate to other people. Humility focuses on knowing our proper, excuse my cat, knowing our proper place in the world. Honor focuses on the converse, giving others their due.
Well, it was quite significant that your cat walked in front of the camera right when you were talking about proper place in the world, since that's for a cat, every place is their proper place in the world. So,
I was gonna say, that, Greg, since you have cats, this one particularly. Anyway, I
yes,
for that.
I do. A very pretty kitty you have there. Okay, so what are you noticing about these, about what honor is, how honor rates to humility? Um, I'm going to leave this up for a couple minutes, so I won't necessarily see you, but please feel free to, I can't see everybody, but unmute, let me know what stands out for you about these teachings.
Well, it's a scale. Honor balances humility. Humility balances honor.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, there are things that are in balance for sure. Yes, Sue.
In my example earlier, I wasn't treating the person I met with respect. And I was putting myself above their, other people's needs. So to me, that's, I was being not humble and
Yeah,
also, and not treating them with respect. So I think that's an interesting, I never really thought about the two of intersections of honor and humility.
thanks, Sue. Anyone else? Yes, Dell.
So I think it implies a level of uh, deep communication between two people, recognizing another person's humanity means, I think, more than just eyeballing that person. So to recognize their humanity involves, yes, feeling empathy, recognizing their needs, um, and that's implicit in treating others with respect. But to be able to identify what those needs are
Mm,
implicates a level of deep communication. So both uh, uh, speaking and listening.
thank you so much, Dell. I love that. Yeah, it's really, I love the way you're tying this into connecting and really deeply recognizing the needs of another person. Anyone else care to comment? Yeah, Shelley.
So I think before you can actually recognize somebody else's needs, you need to recognize your own needs. Because a lot of times that is why we're not seeing someone's divinity,
Mm,
because we are reacting to whatever their situation is and how it's making us feel. And I'm always that person where I say to myself, when I say something out loud, is it nice? Is it good? Is it worthy? Is this going to hurt? And if it is, if I get no's to any of those things, then it's like, I'm not going to do it, because that's me just having a reaction. But I think the next key thing here to be in divinity is to also be able to become the other person and to understand where their words are coming from. Because a lot of times when you've said something, they're reacting. And then it's that back and forth thing. But if you can actually stop that back and forth thing and say, okay, wait a minute, this person is obviously reacting. And now I need to understand where their pain is from, because you've understood your own pain. And I think that's the whole true thing about being authentic. We try to hide so much of our who we truly are, and not show the other person, this is me and I understand who you are, because your situation is my situation. We all are one. I learned something recently that whenever our brain takes us off somewhere, into our past, or a feeling, or if something's happened to us, to actually just say the word now, and you're kind of stopping yourself from going backwards, or even being futuristic. And so it's a wonderful practice, and I'm constantly doing it. now. Thank you, universe. So yeah, I like I said, I think the key thing though, first of all, is really to have true insight in yourself so
Yeah.
that you can understand who the other person is.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That's a great, I love that. And that's a great way to kind of tie these together as well. In a part of the training I took many years ago to become a Mussar facilitator, and I was facilitating Mussar even before the training, but was really good about the training. And then later in my clinical pastoral education, is you really need to learn your own triggers. You need to know what is going to set you off. And if I'm here holding space for the group, or if I'm having a conversation with someone who's experienced the loss, I need to know what's going to trigger me because I can't let that interfere with kind of the work of the group. And so that was like the best, one of the best Musar exercises for me, period, because there was really, when you're doing that, there's really nowhere to hide. So then in one-on-one interactions, I can sometimes, not always, see when I'm starting to go down that road or I'm starting to get triggered. And that's when we kind of get into trouble. And that's when we fall into these traps and we start saying or doing things that we're later going to regret. Well, that's a nice segue to our next piece here. God, I feel like we're always like seem to be like one step ahead of like the next slide. We're just going to read the first one first. Um, first one first. Now we'll practice a little order. Someone like to read this first bullet out loud, please.
I can do it. Honor kavod is a palpable sense of presence. It is receiving everyone, including ourselves, with ayin tovah, a good eye, alive with divine ultimate goodness. We are getting out of the way of the relentless critic and judge.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, all right, how does this kind of fit in? What is the concept here that sort of builds upon what we're talking about? Here, I didn't know if you were raising your hand, if you were just kind of moving your hand. It looks like Beth is up.
Um, I have a little more earthy way to say it.
Mhm.
Don't attribute to malice what can be equally attributed to stupidity. Don't presume that somebody's being bad to you because they want to be mean. They could just be totally out to lunch or unaware or stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's much better put the way Greg brought it to us. I'll have to practice that one.
Well, I can't take credit. That's Rabbi Peltz Weinberg. But yeah, I like this sort of this talks about getting out of the way of the relentless critic, and I would love to maybe apply that word to the relentless good eye. The relentless, really trying to see the good in other people.
Going back to my penchant for old books, in Gone with the Wind, there's a cousin, um, Melanie, I think is her name, and she's just always looking on the good. People, no matter how mean people are, she always has a good excuse for them of, they didn't mean it. And of course, the heroine is such a witch. And she's always going, oh, that was a terrible thing for them to do. And Melanie's always going, oh, but, they didn't mean it. They were thinking of something else. They just mistook me. And, not to be a Pollyanna about it, but to be giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, giving people the benefit of the doubt. Certainly Scarlett gives her a lot of practice at looking on the good side of things in trying circumstances. Sue.
I like where it says including ourselves, because I feel like sometimes I'm my own worst critic. I'll
Yeah.
be like, well, I didn't get that done today, instead of looking at what I did do.
Mhm.
I mean, that's all about me, but I think that sometimes I'll give credit to other people all the time and I'll honor them, but I don't honor myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sue. So do you want to read the next bullet? Because I think that kind of relates to what you're talking about.
Sure. Honor kavod comes from the Hebrew root. Is that a kaf bet dalet?
Yep.
Meaning heavy or weighty. Its opposite is kuf lamed,
Yep.
meaning light or insignificant. We need to perceive our own, our own significance as made in the divine image. If we could fully integrate this truth, we wouldn't seek external recognition. Very good. We would treat ourselves with kavod out of an inborn awareness of our inherent value.
Yeah. So how does seeing our own value impact seeing the value in other people? Let's stop the share here. If we're feeling in touch with our own divinity, does that make it easier or harder to kind of see the divinity in somebody else? Yeah, Marjorie. Having trouble unmuting. Okay. I don't think I can maybe can I unmute you? Nope, I cannot. So, all right. Other comments. Shelley?
Sorry, obviously this is my show. No, you know what, I'm such a firm believer in divinity. So and really truly how we ought to be. Because if you see your own divinity, if you truly see your own worth and you understand your obstacles and you've overcome them and you've had your things, and you're able to actually empathize with the other person. And I often say that when somebody is bothering you, it's really you're doing the same thing. People are mirrors. We're constantly giving up our own energy to be angry for really no reason because it's something that we're feeling is being done to us. And
Mm.
that's not being divinity. If you can say, okay, well, that person's doing something for a reason, what happened in their life? What's happening to them right now? Like really take yourself out of the situation. And I really truly believe you can't do that until you've been able to find your own self-worth and see what you can actually give back to people. There you go.
Thank you, Shelley. And I think that's yeah, that's really powerful. Marjorie, are you ready?
Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, I'm on a device that's like talk about phones. Oh, oi. So I feel that oftentimes the way I react to somebody is because there's a flaw in me that it's like I think iPhone 2. I'm sorry, what is your name again?
Shelley.
Whoever's on iPhone 2. So you
That's
mentioned
Shelley.
something about a mirror. Well, that's I think what happens is that we don't honor somebody because if we see a fault in them, it's typically because it's the fault in me.
Mm.
And I'm going to call them out on it, but it's really it's very reflective.
Mm.
And I'm learning that it's not just the that people are going to do something that's inappropriate, but they're still a they're still a good human, you know, and you still have to honor them, and you just acknowledge this was not the best behavior, but you know, they're still a holy soul,
Mm.
and hopefully that you rectify it. But essentially, when I blow up, it's because somebody, it's like, oh yeah, I guess that's, you know, I'm seeing myself here.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna go back on mute, I think.
Okay. And I
Or
also want to just say that, you know, a holy soul for some people that could be taken literally, for others that maybe that's the metaphor for someone's common humanity. But whatever that means to us, I think the principle still holds. Yeah, Sue.
What really hit home for me from that statement was what I was just talking about, how I'm my worst critic. And what I wrote down is if you can see your own worth, then you don't need the external recognition.
Yeah.
And I feel like, like Facebook, I'll put something out there. Someone likes my picture, you know? I mean, I hate to admit it, but I think that's because I'm looking like, okay, well, I don't know, but they'll tell me, yes, it's a beautiful picture. And I'll be like, okay, but I should know myself that it's a beautiful picture. So I think that's tied in a lot. That was a real eye opener. There we go for me.
And I would even go further, if I may, to say that even if, you know, this doesn't really happen to you because you're such an amazing photographer, but even if it's not a beautiful picture, you'll still be okay. You know, like the first thing is knowing yourself, or it's beautiful to me. And then the
Mhm.
second is, you know what, even if I write a bad poem, or even if I say something stupid, which I did once, um, I'll be okay. I will be
Thank
okay.
you.
Let's take a look at the spectrum diagram. And there's a couple things we see here. You know, how is it when we're out of balance? You know, if we have too little honor for someone else, if we're displaying, we can be rude. And in some of our examples today, we were said something rude to someone else. But of course, we can go on the other side where it just becomes all about flattery, and just constantly, pouring it on too much. One thing that I particularly like, and I think it's a good way to go, is to find the good in anyone as the mantra. And that really goes back to kind of this relentlessness towards the good eye. Comments about the spectrum? How does that fit in with your experience? Anyone we haven't heard from today wanna jump in? First, we'll start with Beth.
Um, I like that rudeness is on there. I have a very rude sense of humor,
Hmm.
and my friends know how to tolerate me, but I have to remember to rein it in when I'm with people that don't know me very well.
Hmm.
So, but I was kind of tickled that rudeness was the opposite of flattery.
Hmm. Thank you, Beth. All right, well, we're going to get ready to go into our breakout rooms. And we're going to come back to chesed. So as a reminder, chesed is supporting another without expecting anything in return. And we've been talking a lot about honor, recognizing the divine or the common humanity in another, and treating them with respect and dignity. So with your partner or partners, how do chesed and honor interact? So I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to copy that into the chat. So you can think about that right now as you're getting ready to go with your partner. If you want to jot down a few notes or just reflect. And I will open the breakout rooms. Okay, the rooms are open.
Recording in
Hey, everyone, welcome back. Well, I can always tell when everyone comes back at the last second that there was a robust conversation going on. So I would love to hear about it. What were some of the things that you talked about chesed and honor? Martin, and then Wendy.
Yeah, one of the things in our group where you talked about something I just mentioned, I heard on NPR, is that when you do a good deed, there are actually three beneficiaries. And one is the receiver of the good deed. Second is the provider of the good deed. And the
Mhm.
third is an observer who happens to notice the good deed being done. So I thought that was interesting how one act affects three parties. I thought that was interesting.
That's very interesting because there's a teaching in the Talmud that evil speech or gossip kills three people, the one who speaks and the one who's gossiped about,
Yeah.
people who witness it. So there's
Mhm.
it's kind of a good, it's the good flip side too. People also benefit from witnessing good deeds. So thank you.
True.
Janet, did I see your hand? No. Okay, Wendy. That's right.
Well,
Wendy was next.
I have to thank my breakout room partner for actually showing me Hesed honor because I'm just kind of out of it tonight. But this has nothing to do with that. And I was writing down when you put the quote, I can't remember. Oh, what we say all the time every day. I put find the good in everyone, and I accidentally left the O out of good, and so it said find God.
That wasn't an accident. It wasn't an accident.
So thanks all of you, and thanks to Beth, my breakout room partner.
Yeah, well, as it happens, if you look up the word God and its root, it comes from the German word gut, which means good. So there you have it. So
Yeah.
it's working on multiple levels.
Love it. Love
Other
it.
thoughts? How does this connect to chesed? How does this make it easier or harder to kind of support other people?
Well, speaking. Come on, people.
Sue.
Okay, so one of the things I mentioned was sort of different, but I'll talk about it, was that I like to honor people when they die. I mean, I often have a picture of them and I like to bring words in their honor. And it's the ultimate act of Hesed because they can't, I mean, they can't return the favor, right? I mean, it's just to honor them. It was just one of the thoughts I brought forth in our group.
Mm.
And I know, Michael, if you want to talk, you had some really good, maybe you should say, if that's okay.
Now you're putting me on the spot. All right. So
I
we
know.
were talking, and I have to say I'm appreciative of Sue and I had a really nice conversation. I'm really grateful that she mentioned that because it occurred to me that honor really can be Hesed. But I had been thinking about it as honor leading to Hesed because if I can stop long enough, really recognize what somebody else's needs are,
Mm.
then I can give something that is actually meaningful and needed rather than just giving for the sake of giving.
Yeah.
Now I've got a shot at actually helping. And that's, it seems to me that fosters Hesed if I can then actually follow through with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Other thoughts for today? Yes, back to Sue.
One thing also that Michael, that you said that I loved was that saying hello to everyone, greeting them, everyone you meet, it gives honor.
Yeah.
And I would argue is compassionate. I mean, Hesed. But
There's a whole section in the Talmud, I think it's in Pirkei Avot, about various rabbis, various pious rabbis, and why were they pious, or why did so-and-so live so long? And one of the rabbis, I can't remember which one it was, it says he always greeted everyone in the marketplace before they could greet him. So this saying hello, it's in good company. It's very time-honored Jewish practice of just greeting people. I've really tried to, it was sort of funny doing this in New York City, really trying to kind of give everyone a nice greeting and saying thank you and hello. And I didn't get shivved, so that was good. So maybe New York.
you do that, Greg, when you welcome us on the Zoom. You always say hello to us.
And we have never shivved him.
No, it's not yet.
I've never gotten a virtual shiv. There's no shiv icon in the Zoom. Maybe there should be. I don't know. But yes, thank you. Well, there's one more quote I'm going to share before we go. It's from, again, Pirkei Avot from Hillel, which do not judge your fellow human until you have been in their position. And we've talked about judging, we've talked about, but what does that one mean? Don't judge someone till you've been in their position. What is the insight there? What does that remind us or you of?
Well, part of it is we can never be in somebody else's position because humans are all we may all be created equal, but we're all different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, Shelley and then Beth.
My saying, and I say this all the time, judgment is for Judgment Day. It's not our position because we are not in that position to judge anybody. Only person we can judge is ourselves. And if you are judging somebody, you're really judging yourself.
Thank you, Shelley. Beth.
Well, someone brought this up before the breakout session that we need to consider what that person's day has been like, where they're coming from, before we react to them. Maybe they need a little extra patience, a little extra mercy. Maybe their phone just died and they're desperate before we, deal with them too harshly. And of course, remembering the spark of divinity or that they're made in the image of God.
Yeah, thank you, Beth. And that kind of goes back to this mantra, find the good in anyone. This really crabby, demanding person, well, maybe they're having a bad day, and what's the good we can recognize in them? Martin.
Yeah, there are professional judges who make judgments against people who are accused of doing wrongdoing. Is that a different kind of judgment than what we're talking about here?
It better be.
I think it is. And a judge is, it's a profession. And of course, they're supposed to make their rulings based upon the law. It's
Mhm.
not supposed to be based upon their personal feelings or their personal values or beliefs. And, it's really supposed to be interpretations of the law.
Okay, yeah, and there's a judgment, there's the jury, which is judging you, but that's a different kind of judgment than we're talking about here. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. All right,
I
thanks.
think so. Yeah, because again, a jury is trying to decide if someone has violated the law and is
Right.
there sufficient evidence to say that they have violated the law.
Okay, good.
So that's different than, this person's a jerk. This person doesn't know anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, look at those crappy shoes that this person is wearing. So
Oh, but I'm talking about judgment and character. So good, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Because the jury's going to make some judgment on character. Yeah,
and that could be part of one of the things that they look at for sure.
yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, so there may be a little, yeah. So we may be human. We might have justifying to judge. I guess that's why. Anyway, maybe it's something. Maybe that what I'm referring to is not what we're talking about here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're always I think Paul would say, there's discernment and there's judgment, and
Mhm.
sometimes we need kind of discern things, but we're talking about something a little bit different.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, well, I think it is time for us to close our group for today. So I invite you once again to close your eyes, take in a nice leisurely breath, and a nice leisurely exhale. And focus your attention on that light that's filtering through your eyelids. That is our inner light. That is our inner goodness. It's something that is part of everyone. And allow yourself to just feel that the warmth of that light, its healing and calming power. That reassurance from knowing that we're okay. That light is inside of us. That we don't need it to come from someone else. It's something that we have, and it's something that no one can take away. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Well, friends, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And if you're watching on the recording, thank you so much for watching till the end. I know there are people who do, and we all appreciate you for being part of this group asynchronously.